Enter madman, stage left. The audience rises and holds their breath. They let the vampires into their house, pretend they don't see when the teeth come out. Put a band-aid on their throat. No one wants to rock the boat, and no one wants to talk about it. You're not supposed to talk about it. The curtain rises and the players come out. Webs of light spinning from their mouths. Start looking, listen for a little while. Attention to the men behind the curtain. Just look away when you see the blood spurting down to a steady drip. I promise to leave you a little bit. I'll be back for another drink tomorrow. I love the taste of your terror and your sorrow breathing in your blood. It's never enough. Upon the face of all mankind, our numbers up and the dead won't sign. Go along to get along, hypnotized by the siren song. The flames are empty and the crypts are cracking open. The horde's upon you and you stand there frozen, waiting for the word. Stand in line and wait. Don't follow the strings to find out who is pulling. Just drink your poison, keep on laughing and drooling, eating your own flesh. The master always knows what's worldwide genocide. The overlords are hungry parasites. They point the finger and the eagles fly. Raining fire, children die. Starving plague, paralyzed. Pile of bodies rotten, covered in fire. But no one wants to talk about it. Strings, no more bowing to the master. I tried to run, but they only came faster. Now I stand my ground. I ain't backing down. Silver bullets in my pistol, in my holster. My will is strengthened and my confidence is bolstered. Don't test my resolve. Don't test my resolve.
Howdy, everybody, and welcome to the Iron Mountain Hour. It is Sunday, July the 2nd, 2023. My name is Cliff. I'm joined by Tim and Dustin as we head that away. We want to thank you for joining us. Go ahead and let's just get down to it. You know, like the video, share it around, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'll be here every Sunday and Wednesday at 10 p.m. Yeah, send it to your grandmother. She'll enjoy it.
Text it to your grandma and someone that you just met so you can ruin the relationship
Send
right
us
off
$1 to hold.
We'll do it. I'll hold
Big
it the whole
man.
episode.
Thanks,
But
big
go ahead
man.
and put your personal address out there, Cliff, so they can send us dollars.
I got a P.O. box if you want to send us dollars.
I do got one for your business.
Yep.
That's good.
You can send us
Smart
one there.
man.
Let's open the chat up here. It's for some reason it's closed.
Let's open this chat up.
Get to the chat. Get to the chatter. Nobody there.
Damn.
It's an empty chat.
Do
What's
you
up, y'all? Where y'all at?
Patriotism.
Get in that chat.
Probably
You
got
have
their
to wear a
sheet
cat
pile.
shirt to be patriotic.
That's right.
It's a very good, nice shirt. Do you remember the metal band? Oh, actually, this may be in your band. Decade of Deceit.
Oh yeah.
when John McMean was the singer.
Yeah.
He did, on 2 occasions at least. I don't know if he did this every show, but one of those songs, he would quote. I think it was Full Metal Jacket or something, where they would do like a stop and they'd go "Clear a path, motherfucker," and a breakdown would kick in. I don't know why I remember that to this day, but that would be fun to redo.
Yeah, it's been a. When's the last time you guys did a decade show?
Yeah. It was.
Been a while.
I'm guessing 7.
No.
What's up, Spill? What's up, Sean?
I think it was Halloween 21.
Okay.
Was the last time we played.
Sean's heading up to Jamestown.
Those Capones.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
I keep having dreams that I own Capone's. So I don't know if Tarvo, I don't even know if Tarvo owns it, but they want to come off of it.
You mean the Hideaway or?
Yeah, I keep having dreams. I've had like 2 dreams that it's not even like a dream that really involves the Hideaway. I just happen to own the Hideaway in the dream.
Oh,
That's
good.
part of the dream.
Right.
So, dreams typically come true sometimes. Not the one where Ronald McDonald chases me and I use my sides of my skin.
You use
I
your
pulled them
nugget.
off real strong and I started flapping them like a bird and I flew up. It's just a real dream. I used the skin on my side to make wings. That didn't come true. But it's kind of feasible.
If
that
you
I
eat
could
enough McDonald's, you might be able to do
If
that.
you eat
Yeah.
enough McDonald's and then you go,
hallucinate.
or that, and then you lose all the weight that you gain from all the
Yeah,
McDonald's, then
exactly.
you can have the wings to be your fine Tim squirrel.
Or a violent PCP-ridden Ronald lookalike chases me through the parking lot.
I mean, that might happen.
Yeah, but more likely that I could come
If
into the
it happened
ownership
around
of
here,
Capone's,
it'd
or
be a
not
meth out. It'd be a meth out Ronald.
Met that Ronald McDonald, and there's no
one has
shortage of.
PCP for,
No.
That's, they wouldn't.
I don't think I could afford Capone's, but I think I could go in debt enough to afford the Hideaway.
Yeah, you might be able to.
Yeah, I could. I just don't know if I could keep it open.
Also, don't know that they would
I
sell it.
might go in bankruptcy within 6 months of owning it, but I could acquire it.
I don't remember my dreams either, Spill. Most of the time,
Too vividly.
occasionally I do, but most of the time I don't remember.
Mine are either like good sci-fi movies,
That's good. It's plus.
or they're just like, I think sometimes it's like when we've had that talk with like parallel universes and stuff. Sometimes I think like in your dreams you can sense that stuff, and I'm just like living vicariously through one of my other parallel selves. Because stuff is like so similar to what it is here, but it's different at the same time.
Yeah.
Considering the Hideaway, I had one where I was with people. I don't remember if I was playing or if I was just there, but I was like, I know for a fact it was the Hideaway. It was in the same spot it is, but it was a different layout, and it had a patio.
Maybe you are both in the shared reality where Tim owns the Hideaway.
It might
I put
be.
a patio on the side.
Yeah.
Tim would definitely
Outside with the
put a
breeze.
patio if he owned the Hideaway.
Yeah, I probably would.
That sounds like a very Tim thing to do.
I would absolutely, in case the universe and people start wishing against me not to own the Hideaway.
Case or in case. Like two.
What?
When you said in case, so I was like, "Are you mean like encasing?"
Oh, no,
them? Or
just in case.
Okay.
No, just in case anybody out there is having negative thoughts about me owning the establishment, I promise it would stay punk. I wouldn't change it. What I change?
Why would you?
Wouldn't change anything about it. I might do some cleaning or something.
Could do some porch punk with
mix
the
up
patio.
maybe mix up the beer selection or something. I have no idea. I wouldn't change it, but I'm just saying. So don't wish against me. The universe wants me to own the Hideaway, so I think I'm trying to wish it into existence.
And you
for some
can,
reason.
and you'll still be able to get a microwave corn dog or hot pocket
If that's
when
what's
Tim
there,
owns the place.
we'll make it happen.
Yep.
Choco tacos too.
Yep.
Dr. Enough.
The bathroom will still be the same.
Y'all ever? I made some street eats. You ever make street eats at home?
No.
So I recreated the jalapeno popper dog. Street eats, for those who don't know, who aren't from
I
our
don't
local
like hot
area,
dogs, so-
or who, well, I'm not a big hot dog person, but I do like beef hot dogs. That's the only kinds I'll eat now. When I was a kid, I didn't really care, but
Though that does smell good.
I stopped liking hot dogs. But street eats, they are in the downtown Johnson City area. I guess it's just one guy that owns it. Isn't it?
Is it the hot dog?
The hot dog cart.
The hot cart. Yeah.
Yeah, he stands outside of Capone's a lot of times, outside the Hideaway,
Is he
and
still down
he's
there?
out there late at night.
Somebody
I've not been
stole
down
his
there.
car.
I've not been down there in years, but
I'm gonna drive down there
I
and check it out.
imagine he's like insured and stuff. So probably got him another
hope
car.
so.
I would hope so. But anyway, this guy makes the best hot dogs you ever had. They are beef hot dogs, but he'll make you one like, an all-American hot dog, which is just chili and mustard and onions, or he'll make you like, or I don't know what he calls it, but the New York dog maybe, And it's like
Chicago
a.
dog's pretty good if he has that.
I've never had him make a Chicago dog, but then he has a couple of basic ones, and then he has stuff like the Boss Hog Dog, which is a beef hot
Sounds
dog.
awful already, but go ahead.
It's a beef hot dog with pulled pork on top of it.
Too much.
And then there is
Like,
slaw on top of that. And
Just have the
then
pork.
there's
Had the pulled pork on top.
and then there's crushed pork rinds on top of that. It's delicious.
No.
There's the jalapeno popper dog.
It works because it's next to a pool hall and 2 concert venues.
Yes, that's why
it
it's
does work.
successful.
I'm not,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not arguing that I'm right.
It's definitely bar.
It's just
It's food for people who came out of the bar for
And
sure.
it does smell wonderful, even though I don't like hot dogs.
well, it's actually pretty good for street food too.
Yeah, I
Street
mean,
food stand. I've had some really bad bar food, so
no, we're talking. This guy uses high quality ingredients, and it's always fresh. And there's also the jalapeno popper dog. This is probably my go-to, and it's a beef hot dog with. It has jalapenos. I think it has a cheese sauce on it, and then there is sour cream, and then French fried onions on top of it. And I'm telling you what,
I'll
man,
try it.
it's good.
I don't know if I prefer the spilly cheese. I think I'd like more of a melty.
I can't remember if there was cheese or not on it, but I made one without cheese the other day, a jalapeno popper dog at home, and it was freaking good. But there's he's got several other ones too. He's had like a loaded mashed potato dog. He rotates.
He's
and
the
stuff.
only one down there serving food. Though.
He's the only one I've ever seen down there. Yeah.
And I'm telling you, well, I'm going to tell a story. Not really a story, a short comparison. Just because it's so old, no one currently working there should be able to take offense to this because it was back when it was Gatsby's. Mm-hmm. It's been a long time ago.
It was like 20 years ago.
It's been like, anyway, when I used to play Gatsby's back in the day, they would just be like, "You want some food?" Because that was part of the deal. And you'd be like, "Yeah." And they'd bring you out a basket of fries that looked like thick noodles. It was just soupy. The deep fries somehow just stayed in the fries, and I just stopped getting the fries. I'm sorry if the guy's still working there. I really highly doubt it. 20 years from now, still the same fry cook. But you stopped getting them.
I've had some stuff from there.
No,
Pretty good
Capone's
now.
doesn't have a smell to it anymore. Gatsby smelled like a bowling alley. Mm-hmm. You know, like you go in Capone's, it just smells like a bar.
you're right.
Gatsby smelled like a bowling alley
You're
because of all the
right.
deep frying stuff they had in there. It was a totally different feel. I think people forgot that, like, pre-Capone's era, keeping in mind, like, with 7 Day Journey, Corey went back there one day and plugged his amps and sparks went right out of the wall. And he was like, "Oh shit!" Like the wiring was just horrible there before they bought. Whoever bought it. I forgot where I was going with it. Take it away, Cliff.
All right. Well, Spill says when she was a kid.
I'm tired of all them slimy, slippery French fries.
Heads are gonna roll.
Alan Prince runs a tight ship. There would never be electricity on his stage. That's all I'm saying. Like he's very well taken care of now.
Oh yeah. Spill says when she was a kid, she flew a lot in her dreams and remembered and had more control. Changed when I started having kids. I don't know if that's when it changed for me or not. Maybe it was. But I remember the same thing. And I did that a lot when I was a kid. And when I got older, I read a Carlos Castaneda book called The Art of Dreaming. I don't know if y'all ever read the Carlos Castaneda books about Don Juan of Ixtan. He was like a sociology student who went down to northern Mexico and he for his theses he did multiple stuff with this guy, but he'd go down to
Theses.
Yeah. He'd go down to the mountains of northern Mexico, and he would get up with Don Juan of Ixtan, who was a medicine man down there, and Don Juan would teach him the ins and outs of sorcery, and that included using psychedelic drugs like peyote or mescaline in order to influence. One of the things that he said he would do is basically transport himself through the dream world using these substances. So you could take a substance like peyote, and if you knew how to do it, then you could put your head in a creek and watch a bubble float downstream, and then you'd open up your eyes and you'll have traveled downstream or whatever. But anyway, he also wrote a book called The Art of Dreaming that I read probably about the time I was in college. Anyway,
She's still going to do a volume check, and somehow I got your phone. I don't know how I even got it.
we got the same case, I think.
Maybe. I don't know.
Looks pretty close.
Similar.
Did I just grab it up here, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
But yeah, the book, The Art of Dreaming,
right there. So.
Yeah.
it would teach you how to basically gain control if you followed along with this lessons that he did.
Yeah.
And as far as gaining control and falling asleep and things you could do to practice keeping in control. And one of the things that you had to do was maintain awareness as you fell asleep. You couldn't drift off and lose consciousness. You had to let your body go to sleep, but maintain your consciousness as you went across. And one of the way that I found that worked for me, and I think it's probably different for everybody else, or different for everybody, however it works for you, but I would imagine that I was like resting on, and I would imagine like a ditch, and there was a grass a field, and it had a ditch beside it, and I was just resting on the edge of the ditch, and as I would fall asleep, I would roll into the ditch, and as I would do this, somehow it would let me keep consciousness as I rolled into sleep. And so when I would roll into the ditch, I would be asleep, and I was able to maintain some consciousness and be aware that I was dreaming and have some kind of, and I would dream every time when I managed to do it too. And, I started practicing, like trying to find my hands in the dream, and I gained some amount of control in the dream. I never could like make myself fly around or anything. I kind of lost interest in it before, I was like I said, probably 20 years old at the time, and it's just one of the things that I was interested in. But anyway, it does work if you practice it to there are techniques that you can use to go into lucid dreaming. And it's been a long time since I've done it, but it's pretty neat stuff. But
There's a few of mine. It's like if you could get lucid enough to where you know you're there, but not really control it, it would be even scarier.
Well, yeah, and that's what usually happens with me now.
It's like
It doesn't happen though from my anecdotal experience. Usually, anytime it goes lucid, but it's like I had a dream once. Like it's the only like I don't think of lucid dreaming, or from my experience. I guess, how do I put this? People that don't have problems with like dreams and stuff, like Spill said up there that she used to have dreams when she was fine as a kid. I did too, and I'll ask you, maybe Spill, it had something to do with us really wanting to get out of where we were. I don't know, that's just a theory that we were dreaming, wishing really badly that we could do, because I really wanted to fly away. I really wanted to get away from where I was at. And I think that was like my mind projecting, like kind of granting that wish at night to give me some relief. But I started like having like really weird lucid dreams around the time I was probably late high school. I started out like real bad insomnia bouts, and then I would go like nod off during the day, and I would either lucid dream or I would have what they call it when you have day terrors, but it's like sleep paralysis. And I had sleep paralysis when I was a kid too. They just kept telling me it was demons attacking me, so that wasn't terrifying or traumatizing at all. But like I never liked lucid dreaming because it always felt like it forced you to work instead of having a good night's sleep when you're that aware. So anyway, back to my point. I had a dream when I was
sleeping half my life. So
when it's relaxing, you know what I'm saying? But like I had a dream when I was a kid that my family had turned into vampires, and I was in my room trying to keep them all out, and in that moment where the door was like ramming open and stuff, it's like I had like a ping of lucidity. For some reason I came to and I realized that wasn't happening. Like you could let go of the door and they still couldn't get in. I don't know. It's like once the logic of the dream world is destroyed, your mind can't actively work against you or something. I don't have the rules down. I'm not a master of that.
No, but I have noticed though in some of my dreams like that where some things are going bad and suddenly you're like, oh wait a minute, this is a dream.
Yeah.
And then you're like, this is
Then things go weird.
Yeah. The whole thing, your whole framework is twisted, and because when you were believing it, you probably didn't notice a lot of the things that are off, but then the things that kept going off, and then suddenly you look around you and the whole reality of the dream world is not what you expect. And and it may have something to do. Who knows? We really don't know what dreaming is. We may spend half of our time in this consciousness and half in another consciousness. There may be another universe where old Cliff, is only awake like 4 to 6 hours a day and sleeps the rest of the day. So,
But he has some pretty damn good adventures.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everywhere from vampire hunting to finding mythical like government conspiracies to portals to worlds that have dinosaurs to being chased by Ewoks.
I've had several dreams where I was wandering around the Indiana Jones warehouse and I would realize that I was dreaming. Or, one very similar to it, where there's crates and crates of artifacts and all kinds of weird things happening, and then I would realize I was dreaming. That was probably one of the ways that I realized I was dreaming. Like, wait, this is like a movie. And they're like, wait a minute.
When you had that
I don't
moment,
think this is real.
when you had the moment that you realized you were dreaming, so we can compare notes here. When you realized you were dreaming, did everything suddenly not look right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't even explain what that means. It's almost like, the best way I can describe it is the PlayStation game Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah.
It's super, for the day, is like very, very detailed this direction. But the illusion of the game, if you look at the programming, is there's nothing else. It's all tunnel vision. Otherwise, your PlayStation would have fried.
Yeah.
And some of them did. I feel like that's the way the dream is. Like, it's almost like once you become lucid, you don't realize that the dream hasn't been filling in all the blanks.
Right.
Like, if I was dreaming, there wouldn't be seasoned mix screens on that can. It would just be pixels that kind of resembled it like a Nintendo.
Yeah, and then you
64
look
game.
and you're like, it's a blur, and you're like, oh, something's not right.
Yeah, that's from my experience. That's what happens.
Kinda. I'll tell you, I do remember having one, probably, yeah, it kind of is. And
it for you.
well, dude, when I
just ruined it.
when I first saw AI art and when I saw that AI pizza commercial, I was like, this looks like a dream. Like,
Not a good one either.
did you guys see the pizza commercial? We showed it on the show, didn't we? Yeah, it's, what's up, Dalton? He says, boys! You guess those geese, folks. Get in that chat. But, yeah, it does. It looks like a dream to me. When we get into the AI videos and AI art. But I think that's, I remember one dream I had, and it's vivid from when I was a kid. I had
Dalton! Sorry. It's been a while since I've greeted people.
it had to be,
I'm sorry, it makes me think of Dalton from Roadhouse.
it had to be in the late 80s,
If I ever
early
meet you, my mom
90s.
would be like, hey, Dalton, I thought you'd be taller. Because you get your Roadhouse.
What you be like?
Sorry.
What you be like 5 inches taller than you?
Oh, I'm sure you would. This is the joke from the movie is everybody always thinks what is his name? He's dead now.
Swayze.
But yeah, everybody's like, I thought you'd be bigger. That's always the joke with Patrick Swayze's character. And Mel Gibson's from Braveheart, but that's a different matter.
Well, William Wallace wasn't actually small like Mel Gibson, though, was he? Or was he? Wasn't William Wallace like 6'6"
I
or
think the
something?
Celts are incredibly tall people.
I don't know. I was thinking William Wallace was like 6'6". Maybe I'm mistaken. But I used to have a dream where the first one I can remember that I would realize it was a dream would be when I would go out into a tree, on my parents' house, and there was like some old man in there who would. It was almost like Link on Zelda, just like it's not safe to go alone. They'd give me all this, and it was weird because he looked like a wizard, but he would give me all this like ninja gear, so I was probably like 6-7 years old when I have this dream, and I would realize that I was dreaming, and then there was also a dream I had one
How do I
time.
get this ninja star back from the astral plane?
Yeah, well, it seemed really realistic to me, and I'd have the dream a couple times, and the other one that I would have, I was probably not much older than that because it was before we had a Super Nintendo, and probably like the year after it came out, so probably like 92, 93, something like that, we had a Super Nintendo. So before that, anyway, we had a regular Nintendo, and we had to rent. I don't know if y'all remember this, how many of y'all remember this, but you go rent games from the movie rental store.
Yeah.
And most people just had a few games, and then you would go rent them the rest of the time. That was how you played Nintendo games back in the day. But anyway, and my dad, he would go pretty much every night when he was off work. He would go grab videotapes from the movie store and rent them, and probably once a week I'd get a Nintendo game. Well, then we had a big pig lot up on my hill, and I was up at the pig lot in what turned out to be a dream, and I was walking down the hill, and suddenly my dad comes walking up the hill, and he's carrying a big stack of Nintendo games on his head, and I was like, it never occurred to me. I remember waking up and being like, where's all this Nintendo games? Like, what the like I was very gullible to fall for that. You got me, Dream World, because that should have been a dead giveaway. But then I woke up expecting to have a stack of Nintendo games. But I had the dream again, and when that happened, I knew it was a dream. But there was a whole other series of things that happened before it that I didn't remember. But when it got to that part, I was like, I know this. You're not fooling me this time.
It's similar to like when you wake up just enough to go back to sleep and dream you're getting ready.
Yeah.
And then you wake up again and you're like, damn it, I gotta take another shower.
Yeah.
That is a type of lucid dreaming called altered reality.
Yeah.
There was a stint for like 3 months that I had no idea. It was like a weird psychosis thing. I had no idea if I was asleep or awake. Because I'd wake up, go through my entire process of getting ready. I remember, getting in my car, driving to, it was when I was in college, driving to the school, meeting my friends there, bullshitting. And then whenever I would get up, we'd get on, turn the computer on, and that's back when we still had CRTs. The CRT would come up and it would show me in my bed, and I would suck through the computer monitor back to my body.
Whoa.
And I did that for like 3 months straight.
That's wild.
Well, you don't have to answer this because I've had massive sleep problems throughout my whole life. So out of curiosity, so we can compare notes, were you taking any sort of medications at the time, and or were you already having existing sleep problems?
I've had sleep problems most of my life,
Yeah.
but I wasn't on any sort of
Like when you
medication.
have insomnia or something?
That I just can't stay asleep. I'm not.
Because that'll do it. Like a big part of it's like your brain.
That's probably why I don't
desperately
dream.
trying to go through all these different cycles and stuff, and when I was 17, 18, that's when I first started having like sleep paralysis and stuff, and I didn't know it at the time. But what was going on? If you look at
When I was a kid, I could sleep like the sun of again up until about 18, and then I just kind of quit sleeping with
me
it.
too, and I just stay up. That's the reason I started taking night shifts because it was just easy. I was already going to be awake anyway. But then if I'd take a nap during the day, I would have these just weird hallucinations where you can't move because your body thinks you're asleep or whatever, but you're just awake enough to see your reality start distorting. And so I'd have crazy hallucinations. I felt
Weird things.
This is the weirdest one. For example, one day I'd fallen asleep at the same time as Dragon Ball Z was on. So I was awake enough to wake up, but for some reason when I woke up, I was delusional. I woke up and I thought, and this is just I'll give the first one just because it's the funniest one. I had
Still rock Yamcha's world.
no.
Everyone been defeated.
I've had spiders on me. I've had robbers in the house. I've had all kinds of them. But the weirdest one, because it's so specific, is I fell asleep watching Dragon Ball Z, woke up, and was still able to watch Dragon Ball Z, but I was under the impression that my parents, their parents, and a bunch of people were outside in the driveway waiting to come in the door. In fact, they had the key in. That's how specific the delusion was. The key was in the knob. And everyone I knew was about to walk into the house for some specific gathering that I couldn't remember. And my pants were down around my knees because I'd fallen asleep masturbating. That's what the delusion was. I was like, oh my God, everybody's going to know that I was jerking off to Dragon Ball. That's what Then I woke up and I was like, what the hell? And I woke up and I was like, what the hell? Because it wasn't even it's like, I wanted to see Vegeta fight today. That's the weirdest one, but it's hilarious. But, yeah, anyway, I think
Look,
it has
that
to do
boy ain't right. Wanking into that blue-haired lady.
Is her hair blue?
Bulma?
Bulma.
Is it? I thought it's green.
Is depending on what.
Yeah, I'm colorblind. That's one of the issues. But it really is green to most of the time with me. Back on track, Cliff. Sorry.
Never.
How tall is William Wallace?
6'6".
Is he?
6'7", 6'5".
I was under the impression he was about 5'10", 5'11", something.
That's what all this is. But
Okay, fine.
I don't know. Let's see what Stable Diffusion makes for the dream world. Let's just tap the dream world and see what the AI makes.
If you take certain medications, you can force lucid dreaming. But if you're interested in doing lucid dreaming in a healthy way, there is an herb called Kalia Z that you can order online. It's completely legal. Tastes not too good, but you can make a tea out of it, smoke a spliff, whatever you got to do. It does anecdotally make it easier to transition voluntarily. It's not a guaranteed, but
You ever try that Salvia divinorum stuff?
yes.
Did you go to the dream world?
No, because you were awake.
I went to another place when I tried it. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I would describe it way more as a super crazy psychedelic more than Kalia Z. Kalia Z is not going to do anything for you until you fall asleep, and then it might induce lucid dreaming. So it's, yeah.
Well, that what do you call that? Salvia divinorum. It would. I tried it one time, and I smoked one puff of the stuff. And mind you, this was totally legal at the time.
So back when you bought in head shops,
Yeah, yeah.
it used to be about head shops.
Yeah, it was totally legal, and you
Still
could.
is. You just can't smoke it now.
Oh, is that right?
It's legal to own in Tennessee because
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
yeah. Well, side note, it got swept into the spice category, like the synthetics, when like they were going after all those kinds of drugs. But enough people, thankfully, like Native Americans, raised a stink and said, "You're not taking Salvia divinorum away from us, you idiots." And they went, "Okay, you're illegal to own it, but you can only use it for growing practices and religious services if you're a Native American. So at least you can have the plant now."
Well, it was a totally different reality. Like I said, I smoked one puff of it, and I was laid back in a chair, and I just had the sensation, and I have no way to describe it other than I was a flower pot. I was a flower in a pot, and the bottom of my flower pot had a spring
Nice.
that went down into a boot, and that was my body, and I was hopping around as a flower pot with
Tell me
a
about,
spring
what,
leg
10
into
minutes,
a boot. No, not even that long.
It's real short.
No, this a friend of mine was angry with me over something, and he came to my door wanting to fight me at the time, and that snapped me out of it really quickly.
It's a unique psychedelic. I'm not endorsing it, by the way, because I don't think it's recreational. I think that is a different one. Chemically, that one's weird because, and if anybody in the chat by any chance is a chemist and they know better than me, it's the only psychedelic that I found that works on the opioid receptors, because it's called Savorin A is the active ingredient in Salvia divinorum, and most, if not all, but most of your psychedelics are serotonergic. They're serotonin in some way. It gets broke down and precursor in that way, but not salvia. It's your opioid receptors. And the only reason I bring it up because I think it's so weird is that your pain receptors. So there you go. I just think that's very interesting for whatever reason. Sorry to bore you, chat, with chemistry.
Quite all right. Hey, so we're going to catch up on some current events a little bit. Did you guys see that Elon Musk and Zuckerberg are going to fight?
I heard it through the grapevine.
that, yeah.
And before we go through that, though, I would like to say I have not done any of the stuff that we've talked about literally in over 10 years. And most of my education about psychedelics comes from being in behavioral neuroscience, like studying how the chemistry of the brain works. So I don't know, I'm becoming hyper aware of how optics work in the world, and even though most all of our listeners are people that are states away, I don't want to be seen as like I'm geeked out all the time or anything. I'm a functional adult. I don't want y'all to think I'm walking around on acid all the time or something like that. That's not my character.
Well,
Probably a deadhead.
Well,
Enjoy the fish sometimes? No.
well, neither am I, but I did a lot of wild stuff when I was a lot younger, especially. Let's see the Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk proposed cage match is supposedly on, and yesterday TMZ was reporting that the Italian government offered for them to fight at the Coliseum. Excuse me. So, I guess we're returning to the days of old where the titans of industry and stuff, but except now they're not having champions. They're supposed to be fighting one another. Apparently, Zuckerberg has been rolling
jiu-jitsu for a while.
rolling Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and Elon Musk has taken several martial arts basically for his whole life. So, I guess this depends, but kind of seems like if he really has,
Well, maybe that's just his whole character. He's secretly been training, so if he ever got challenged, he could kick somebody's butt without worry.
Maybe. And he's not a small guy either. He's if you've seen that picture of him, Zuckerberg's pretty thin, but I'd say since he's been doing jiu-jitsu, he's probably beefed up some.
I mean, like, how tall is he though?
Oh, I don't know, probably 6 foot,
Yeah.
maybe a little over.
Yeah. I don't even know if you could fight in the Coliseum.
Yeah, it's been reported now that it's not going to happen at the Coliseum, but
I don't think it could.
But Elon Musk was reporting, some chance that the fight happens in the Coliseum.
Well, the Coliseum.
Oh, here we go. Mark Zuckerberg's 5'7", 145, 39 years old.
5'7".
Musk is 51. He's 6'2".
Is he that old?
Yep.
Okay. That makes sense.
230 and does karate, taekwondo, and judo. So if he's really been doing taekwondo, karate, and judo, he should make short work of Mark Zuckerberg,
He only
who's been
has
doing
one-
Brazilian jiu-jitsu for like, he's been 5-6 years ago.
Until the
That's true. I mean, he could be a robot too. Like,
His neck off.
it'd be pretty hard to fight a robot. They're like 800
Ungodly
pounds.
strong.
Yeah,
I mean, we've taken on robots before. Look at Ash from the first Alien film. They took him on before they didn't know he was really synthetic.
yeah. And then
And the Terminators, we took that motherfucker on too.
that's right. And look at what's his
You
name?
get a powerful magnet.
What's his name in the android's name in Aliens?
Bishop.
He does the
And Bishop.
cuts up Adam Baldwin or Billy Baldwin, whichever Baldwin that is. Daniel? No.
Is it
That's Adam Baldwin, yeah. Adam Baldwin's the guy who's got his hand on the bottom and hollering. And it looks like I've been playing with, what's his name?
Looks
with
like you
Bishop.
missed.
Yeah. Well, remember Bishop, that's how we found out he's the android. Is,
He
he's-
nicked himself.
He nicks himself and you see his little jizz
And then that's
secretion.
when Ripley gets real like, wait, there's an android here.
Yeah.
She didn't like it.
She's androidist. She's not woken up for space, folks.
We're gonna get there. You know
Well-
that. We're gonna get to the point where we're like judging.
Considering
computers.
her past experience with an android,
No,
it's like
you can't blame her.
I have a thought about Mars.
But then it turned out Bishop was a good guy. But
Well, yeah, like a kind of redemption story. For
Even
the
though he was
robot.
if you go with the stuff by Alien 3, it's like he was actually like his android's cloned off of like one of the actual people from Whale and Tony.
Well, the first
I didn't remember
android
that.
was programmed to sabotage anyway.
yeah.
You know.
But evidently he was
Yeah.
not. So
It's like Ash, that was his directive
Yeah.
anyway.
Mars. You ever thought? It's just a thought. Just a thought. Back in the day, I don't think, for example, the Colosseum. Back in Rome, it's openly known that was a way to distract people from their everyday lives. Hey, watch these people kill each other. Don't revolt, right? Like now we're using the Colosseum again.
Bread and circuses.
Yep.
and
He's
stuff.
got some good hams, don't he? Look at those legs.
yeah, he looks like he's been working
Been
out.
working out.
What does it say he is? 5'7",
5'7", yeah.
5'7", 145.
About my range to fight. I got a little few inches on him. We're good.
Yep.
But like, they started taking prisoners from the British Empire, or whatever, and they'd send them to Australia to get rid of them. Like, get out here. And then they started sending people that were not very desirable to the colonies once those things were established. So it's like, what if Mars is just going to be hey, go to Mars.
Yeah.
That's a really cool thing, and they just start launching poor people up there to get rid of them.
Get your ass to Mars.
Mars is bitching. There's no laws up there. Plenty of water. People just loading up. Free trip to Mars takes $10. That's why they're working on cryogenic freezing so hard. They don't want to live forever. They just want to send poor people to Mars.
Put him to work in the mines.
I think just to let them
Get
go
'em
up
out
there
of the way.
under the guise of like, a new world. And if it, kind of like the new world probably was
If it
just a
doesn't
way of
work
getting
out.
rid of them, then, oh shit, damn it, they survived.
Even if it does
Oh
work
crap, they're
out.
getting bigger.
Even if it does work out, they're all the way over there.
Yeah, it's like, well, this time we're not just going to send them to another continent where it backfires and they become a superpower. Now we got to bargain with them. This time we'll send them to another planet, and then we'll still come back because that's what we do. Rocket shows up. That's what the spaceships are. They already sent poor people to Mars like 150 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And now our flying saucers are back. It's just rednecks and tin cans going, we're here to get revenge.
Well, I was going to tell you about the thing in the news where it's like since the last current event show, Trump has been going down again for classified information. And it turned out, oh well, there's actually nothing to that again. And then so who knows? That was one thing we could have talked about, but it was kind of big in the news. Then there was a whole Russia thing with the Wagner group supposedly mutinying, I guess, or whatever you would call it, turning and saying they'd done a lot of their mercenary group in Ukraine, or that works for Russian government mostly, but they work kind of all over the place. They're like Russia's version of Blackwater. They did a lot of the fighting in Ukraine, and suddenly they turned around and started marching on Moscow. Then supposedly there was a showdown between the Wagner group and the Russian military. And all the neocons, the neo-lib pundits were saying, "Oh, this is it. This is our chance to this is Russia's going down. It's the end for Putin." Kind of like the way they've been done Trump over the years. But anyway, they say that, and then suddenly the head of the Wagner Group is over in Belarus, and he's making a deal, and everybody's turning themselves in, and then there's no big, thing, and then all of a sudden, Ukraine has taken advantage of this weakness and attacked a city that was ready for their attack, and basically repelled them and destroyed that division. So it's like, was this all just something to basically to trick the West into moving forward with other things? But anyway, that's all. It's kind of all over now. So we don't really have a lot of those current events that were going on that we were going to talk about on Wednesday have kind of resolved or moved on to something totally different. And then, like I said, we got the Musk and Zuckerberg fight.
Will they fight or won't they?
I don't know. I think they're actually going to. It's been hyped up a lot.
You think it'll be lame?
Yes.
How lame? Like, okay, here's what I think they should do. If they're going to have a fair one, I think it would be pretty awful for them to be taking any sort of head damage, considering that's both how they make their living. So they should fight internet. Let's get this a thing. They should fight
Pool noodles.
What?
With pool noodles.
Yeah, no, this would be funny at least.
They should joust.
would be-
They should do American Gladiators joust. Like,
I'm
over
okay
the
with
pit.
that.
Gladiators, yes.
I'm okay with that, but since they probably want to do judo and jujitsu,
So funny.
that's probably what they want. Pancrase rules. Pancrase was pre UFC.
Queensbridge rules.
That would be Pancrase was no punches in the face. You could open slap, which is we're into slap fighting.
Yeah.
You could open slap and stuff like that, but you couldn't openly punch somebody in the face. No head. And then UFC grab rule. Similar rules to UFC, but like it would keep Zuckerberg's head from literally coming off like a rock and sock him because
Junk.
6'2", he really outweighs the poor little guy. I mean,
Yeah.
like.
He'd have to be. I mean, it'd be pretty. Zuckerberg would have to be really on his game, I would think, to get somebody like that. I mean,
I'm bigger than Zuck, but I wouldn't want like Grant Taylor punching me.
no.
He's 6'2". He's like 6'4". I wouldn't want Goff punching me, and he's only like an inch and a half taller. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, height makes a big difference, especially. I've known some tall, really lanky
Big old
guys
knuckles.
that were like
Anime fist.
6'5" and like Dustin's frame, but they were super strong where they had so much leverage. From,
No, that's always how the guys that look like
Yeah.
the Diaz brothers.
Yeah.
They're built like Goff, only from I don't know, California.
Well, the what else do we have? We had Indiana Jones 5: The Dial of Destiny released over the weekend.
I didn't even know
Anybody
they
got to
made
see
a new
that? Yeah, it's
bad.
Well, according to a lot of the critics that I've seen it's pretty bad. I'm sure there will be some people that like it. It's an Indiana Jones movie, but supposedly they've really killed the according to Nerdrotic here, they've completed the destruction of George Lucas's legacy, and it goes on in the vein of a lot of this, like the Star Wars movies, for example, and some of the other.
Are they gonna? Well, I guess I can't really ask how they did it. Nerdrotics. That's pretty much how Nerdrotic's been making their money for the last.
Shitting
Like,
on the franchise.
yeah, like they didn't at one point in time. It was.
But the franchises have got shitty.
Yeah, and since that's a popular thing to hate on everything,
Yeah.
Nerdrotic's really. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'll watch it or not. I don't know if I want to waste my time. with it.
Honestly, probably won't watch it till later. I'm not going. Definitely not going to go to the theater to watch it. I'm not excited about it. I felt like the story was, like the Crystal Skull was
Did you
kind
hate
of.
it? Did you like that
no,
one?
I
About
liked the
that.
Crystal Skull. I didn't hate it, but it was my least favorite of the four movies. But I felt like it tied a knot and tied a bow on Indiana Jones the character, and it left it open for Mutt Jones to potentially. And even though Shia LaBeouf is not my favorite,
I think that's why people
actor.
canceled it. Like, like I didn't think the Skull thing was too bad for the year, and considering like I think a lot of people didn't like it specifically because they didn't want Shia to be the new Indiana Jones, and the Indiana Jones was so laced with the Christian themes. A lot of the people that are attracted to the movies are Christians. They ignore they ignore that whole movie with the Heart Ripper outer guy for some reason,
Yeah.
but they got like offended by aliens. I know a bunch of older people that got offended by aliens being.
yeah, I guess I could see that. And a lot of people were like, Indiana Jones is not supposed to be aliens, but I'm like, dude, don't you see? He was
It's
saying it was
everything.
aliens
Yeah.
all the time. It always was aliens. The Ark was an alien artifact that was misunderstood. So were the stones in Temple of Doom, and so was the Holy Grail, and they're saying, I guess I can see why people got offended, because by that logic, then so is Jesus. Jesus must have been an alien,
It's just why they hate ancient aliens.
Yeah, and
That really is, dude.
and then you find out that Andy finally comes to the end of his quest. All these things he's been chasing his whole life, and then it's been aliens all along.
Aliens.
You got to have the hair.
I went to a church where they really were like really mad at Eric Von Donigan. Like, it was like a running gag. We're like, unless you're a church of the gods, like, that was like a running gag for them.
Like the flat earth.
So I'm sure there's a bunch of people that are around my dad's age that are really mad that ancient aliens took off because they're like, damn it, we thought that wasn't going to go anywhere.
Yeah. It really did. It's become a phenomenon.
It came out in like 1970 something.
70s,
Like it was a while ago. I guess they thought it was going to die out. Nope. It came back.
Yeah, it definitely did. But
They specifically, the nerdrotic people and stuff, I think they were the ones that made a video. One of the things they hated most about Indiana Jones, which I thought was dumb when I first saw it, but I didn't think it destroyed the movie, was the nuclear blast in the refrigerator.
yeah. Well, and here's how the way I looked at that is like, yeah, it was kind of dumb, but like look at some of the stunts in the earlier Indiana Jones. It was really not out too far, versus some of that stuff. Like I can't think of anything specific, but I was
Taking out a whole tank by himself.
Yeah, I mean, there were several things that he did in all three of the other movies that
With
were
a rock.
that were just as insane as surviving a nuclear blast in a refrigerator.
Like
But it's
killing
lead-
his father with a magical glass.
Yeah. It's lead lime though, Tim.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, that was the idea. But I feel like the shock would basically vaporize your body, whether it's lead lime or not.
The heat.
Yeah.
It would,
I mean, it might dispense some of it. I mean, but the way the movie had it is it blew him away from it, and then the lead protected him from the radiation. But yeah, there's stuff like that was stupid in it, but I still liked it. And,
I'll allow some campiness. I'm okay.
and yeah, it should have been the last Indiana Jones, I think, unless they,
Y'all won't take girls on beer cups. I don't care about that either.
There we got Huff. I don't know who this guy is, but he says Kathleen Kennedy has replaced every one of George Lucas's white male protagonists with a brunette woman just like her. We got Rey from Star Wars there.
I like brunettes. I'm okay
And
with those.
yeah, I like brunettes too. But I don't like we can have brunette superheroes or stars like Lara Croft, for example. I mean, we don't have to turn Indiana Jones into a brunette lady. We don't have to. I mean, I mean, we could make our own. That's what I don't get. Like, why do you want to change established people into something else rather than make your own? I mean, there was that controversy over.
Because they don't have the people that are creating these things don't have good stories to make their own characters, so
I guess
they
that's
want
true.
to
It's just
force
laziness.
themselves on something that's been around for 30, 40 plus
Yeah.
You think they're
years.
just lazy?
Yeah,
Where it's
well,
like, this is
maybe
successful,
they're just not
and we want to
creative.
market to these people, so let's just put their guy in there.
Maybe
Or
it's
their
people
girl.
who are driven, partially, but I think it's also maybe people who are driven, like, because this is not just one person causing this issue. Like, this is whole writers' rooms that are,
It's industry wide with
yeah.
everything. It's just like they are running established characters and completely changing who. It's not even the same human being anymore.
Well, I was watching.
Why don't you make a new character?
Exactly. I was
Yeah,
watching.
There are outlets now in the stuff. It's working.
Why haven't they remade Red Sonja?
Yeah, it's a good
I'd watch
question.
Red Sonja if they
I'm
remade-
kind of glad they haven't, because
If they do,
then Red
Be a
Sonja.
what's the boy's name with S? It'll be a
Yeah,
guy
yeah, it'd be a drag queen.
with a big sword.
Yeah, Red Sonja is actually a
Because
drag
that's what they
queen.
did to the new She-Ra.
They'll have Arnold play
So-
Sonya in this one, and the chick that there we
I
go.
would actually like to see
Arnold in drag.
replay like Conan, but him be like an old man, like an old king version. That would
That
be a cool concept.
Yeah.
I heard there
Old
was
Arnold.
that was a thing that was going around that was possibly going to be made.
Like old Arnold was, old Conan.
Yeah, I
It was
would
like
watch that.
King's kind of-
Although I was severely disappointed by Terminator Dark Fate.
Didn't watch it.
Thought it was horrible.
Shit on it for me.
Oh, shit all over it. It totally disregarded the whole other movies. Basically made the other movies like. I'll just tell you right now, because if you hadn't seen it, it happens in the first few minutes. But they kill John Connor. Teenage John Connor gets killed in the very first,
Okay.
one of the first scenes
Well,
of the
no
movie.
advice for that,
So it's like all the other movies that were
Yeah.
before that. There's just really no point in them even having existed. And then John Connor is replaced by a young Hispanic woman, and she's. It's the whole point is, Sarah Connor you know, she's not the hero because she was John's mother. You know, it's actually a woman that's so much more than a mother. She can be the hero too. And then, you know, it's got a female Terminator comes back, and it's like it's basically just like somebody told James Cameron what a dick he was when he had all this testosterone in his youth. Is basically what he says. Oh, I was such a dick when I had all this testosterone, and I'm not going to make guns in my movies anymore. But then
He's still using guns.
yeah, he still is. But you know, it was a crappy movie, and basically.
Do you see like the inherent hypocrisy without even getting like anti-woke or anything? The inherent hypocrisy behind doing things with an agenda like that is they're trying to say, "Hey, we want to give this woman the spotlight here because she needs to be elevated," not realizing the woman already had the spotlight. Sarah Connor was the star the whole time anyway.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't have to take. You should just. Anyway, let's sell to people who have more melatonin in their skin. It's just
because she wasn't the savior of humanity, because John was considered the savior of humanity and the great military leader. That diminished Sarah's role to where we have to destroy John. That's the way these people think. It's like, oh, well,
like she was the mother. It's
yeah,
like
exactly.
it's like she had that cross to bear to keep him alive.
And she was the hero of the first movie, and like she was really the hero of the second movie too, because he couldn't have made it with either one of them. She was the one. She destroyed the Terminator in the first movie, and she was the one that. Basically, if I mean, Arnold's Terminator killed him and knocked him into the lava, but she had him on the ropes to where, you know, the other Terminator could kill him. So she was already the hero. Why did we need to make her? I mean, she was a badass too, but they kind of turned her into. She was still feminine. She was still a woman. It was almost like they said that's a bad thing. We want her to be more masculine, and that's what they did to her in the Dark Fate movie, kind of, and took away her role of protecting her son and made her a Terminator hunter.
why would you want to?
So suddenly she's chasing down every Terminator that appears. They keep sending these Terminators back, and she's just chasing them down. It's like, what?
Do you see the lack of logic, and because I really don't. I mean, if the movie was good, I really don't care if it was like a trans Terminator. None of that really matters to me that much. But like the weird thinking there that like. Masculinity is toxic, but to make the perfect female hero, we have to make her very masculine. It's like, what? Do you not see how weird your thinking is there? Like, I would rather you say that all men are bad, but don't make a man out of a woman and then say she's okay. But what if she identifies as a man? Is she suddenly bad?
Yeah, that's right.
Like, it's like mental gymnastics. People like getting caught like this mental cul-de-sac where they just keep going in a circle, because until you admit that there's good on both sides, which I shouldn't even have to say in this day and age. Anyway.
But I'm with you though. I wouldn't care if it was a trans Terminator movie, but like, don't shit all over and upend the whole source material.
That's really what people are mad about, right?
Yeah, and
that's with any of the industry. It's like they're not respecting the source here. It's like the people that actually will come out and put money down to consume this media are the ones that have been there for years, and then you just shit all over them and saying your stuff didn't.
Saying the reason you like this is because you're horrible people and you guys are all toxic males, and that's the whole reason that you all liked Terminator. Well, we're going to show you. We're going to kill John Connor and turn Arnold Schwarzenegger into a middle-aged man Terminator who's basically a eunuch living with a. You know, living in this world forever.
I would like to
because he has no job.
Meet it halfway. Because we're like rehashing.
It does have some good concepts.
What we're doing right now is basically what a lot of other channels have made a career off of, bitching about the culture and the way the concept of things. You know, they're not going with what the fandom really wants.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'd like to add in there, maybe this hasn't been done. I don't know. Maybe. Is it possible that the people in marketing are looking at the numbers and they go, wow, there's a lot of women out there. And we've done the studies.
How do we get women to watch Terminator?
And women are way more likely to spend money on fandoms than men, so we should really turn all the fandoms into something that will attract women.
I guess that could be too.
I mean, I really think there's a lot to that, and then the people that are working in the fandoms are typically involved in that culture, and they're usually woke people who are okay at the very top of it. Like, if you see it, you automatically project and assume that every person watching this thinks this way. And maybe they're accidentally shit-canning the thing they love by trying to turn it into their ideal version of it. just a theory. I don't know.
No, I mean, I think there's definitely something to that because if you look at it, there's more women are going to college, more women are getting high income jobs than men, and more women are getting corporate jobs. It's definitely flipped as far as that goes. So maybe they're looking at the culture as a whole and saying, look, these are women make most of the purchasing decisions in the household as it is, and now women are starting to make more money and be more successful, and let's start gearing our products more toward women, and that could be the case too.
Like I understood 50 Shades of Grey, for example. Right? I get that.
I get why it's popular for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like maybe it's mismarketing. Like, I understood we got women have taken the high income job. Let's just say it's 50-50.
But then you got Twilight, you got the Hunger Games, you got a lot of things like that are made for women. They're actually good film franchises. I'm not afraid.
But is it because it's too stereotypical of what Steven Crowder or who is it, Brian Walsh, what the hell that guy's name? What a Woman Is? Like, is that what women are supposed to like? Is every woman wants to go out and watch Twilight? You know?
Maybe, but I mean, the point is they make movies for women, and women enjoy those movies. Stop trying to. Why would they ruin
Nightmare
movies?
Before Christmas, for example.
Why would they ruin movies that mostly men enjoy to try to get women to enjoy them when there's things that they could make that women would enjoy without?
I don't know.
I mean, that's, but I guess the thing is, like I said, it's not so much that they made a woman a main character in it or anything like that. It's just, did you really have to just destroy basically all the other films and make them irrelevant in the scheme of things to do that? But and it's like killing Han Solo almost immediately in The Force Awakens, and then making Luke Skywalker a loser in and what's the one after that? I can't remember the name of it, but it's just like let's just destroy your heroes and show you how bad they are and how bad you are, and that's why it's done, not to make a good movie. It's done to send a message, and that's the issue that I have with it. Spills had to go grab pizza. Welcome back.
Well, I'm glad you've got pizza.
I
have none.
I got a big New Yorker from Pizza Hut the other day. It was delicious. Yes.
Was it big?
It was big. It was not exactly a New Yorker pizza. It tasted like a Pizza Hut imitating a New York pizza, but it was good.
What was wrong with it?
Oh, nothing wrong with it.
I mean, it's like as far as like it not being true.
Oh, it was just not like super cheesy and so much grease on it that you couldn't hardly eat it.
I don't like that part with the grease.
Well,
I do like the thinness of a New York sauce.
I like it. It did have the thinness, right? It had the chewiness pretty close, but the taste was all Pizza Hut. But then it didn't have the.
Okay.
It did. I mean, it was
sense.
pretty good though. It was pretty good. It's like McDonald's. Anything McDonald's make tastes like McDonald's.
Oh, they're getting pretty bad.
But it all tastes like McDonald's. If you get whether you get a chicken nugget or a chicken sandwich or a Big Mac,
Don't you ever
it all tastes like McDonald's.
Like, I remember, and maybe this was just my childhood tricking me. I remember, now Chick-fil-A can still do this on a good day. They can still give you a consistent nugget and fry combination that you're like, yep, that was exactly what I remember. First time I had this chicken nugget when it was in the mall in Kingsport, back when they had that Chick-fil-A over there.
Yeah.
I was like 6, right? McDonald's used to be 300% better. The fries used to be perfectly crispy and flavorful and perfectly salty.
You never got bad fries.
And there was just a nice amount of the curly little ugly brown ones that were still good enough to eat that you'd save to last. It was actually pretty good. There's a reason McDonald's is popular. Mm-hmm. If it was as garbage as it is today, it never would have made it. And I think now people are just addicted to it. That's why they keep eating it. But McDonald's used to be good, is my point.
I don't even like. I don't even get fries from there anymore because Bill Gates potatoes. But
Bezos, I thought it was
Bill Gates bought bought the potato farm in Idaho. That's the exclusive provider of potatoes.
What a Gates thing to do.
Yeah. Well, and he's talking about wanting to give people vaccinations who are vaccine hesitant through their foods, and then he buys up a potato farm and then starts becoming the
in the lab shooting them with needles.
He becomes the exclusive provider of potatoes to McDonald's. So I'm like, no, I'm not eating those anymore. But and then there's people out there who'll tell you can find videos. People are like, oh, McDonald's is serving you human meat. They'll say, and they can lie all they want to, but I know the truth.
Oh, is that because I've never heard that about McDonald's?
Oh yeah, it's out there. Well, it was in that.
It's like even the chicken is not. It's chicken.
It is
in
chicken.
some form, but it's like a pink chickeny paste.
Surprisingly,
The
I've
nuggets have gotten
watched.
better,
I've watched
actually.
how they make those nuggets, and
Hideous back in the day.
here's what they do with them. I watched it on how it's made. I forget what manufacturer makes them, but they actually take whole chicken breasts.
Gotta be Tyson.
It probably is. They take whole chicken breasts and they just shred the chicken breast. So it is white meat chicken,
bone
whole
and
breast. No, they take the bone. They take the bone. They take the bones and they pull the stuff, the rib meat and stuff out, the stuff in between the ribs. But they throw it all in there and then they just grind it into a paste and then they shape it into the patties and then they freeze it, bread it, fry it part of the way,
Like
and then
Pringles.
freeze it again and then take it to the McDonald's. So it actually is whole,
It's just chicken
boneless
paste.
chicken. They just shred it, yeah, and that's so they can have a consistent texture, or
Like
consistent
Pringles.
shape from it. Yeah, like pretty
Pringles
much.
War. You know about that?
I don't know about the Pringles War, but I do know about Pringles.
Well, maybe that'd be more interesting. There's a huge lawsuit with Pringles. All the chip companies sued them because they're not technically a chip, so that's why they have to call it a potato crisp.
Crisp,
Because
yeah.
the process of making a Pringle is essentially to make mashed potatoes into
Yeah.
squares and then pop them out.
Yep.
The part about McDonald's where the chicken nugget gets grosser, though, because making chicken paste isn't that gross to me. It's kind of gross. But if you've seen the chickens that they use, because there's like all kinds of like
Three
whistleblowers.
legs and
No,
leg
well,
growing out the top of their head.
it's not quite
Their
that
five
bad.
breasts.
But if you saw them, it's pretty weird because they've been genetically like modified to be the perfect
They're
meat
the
chicken.
ones with no feathers and stuff.
No, they've got like these gigantic chests that are so heavy they have to like walk around. Like when they walk, they push themselves because their chests are too heavy. So they have to like look like this, and then their legs, by the time they reach an adult, are so fat and meaty that they have to like do the circle motion to walk. And then they don't want them. There's something about daytime towards the end of their life where they don't want them being too awake, so they don't see light like the last like month of their life or something, or even longer than that. There's all this like weird, like all these farmers that got bought out by Tyson. Don't sue me, Tyson, because maybe I'm full of shit. Allegedly, Tyson bought all these farmers out by going to them and saying, "Hey, you're already raising chickens. Raise our chickens instead, and we'll double what you're getting paid," or however they got them to do it. So all of them did it, and now they got so addicted to the money that they can't really get out of the agreement without shutting their chickens. Because the way they do it is the way to get out of it is Tyson they have to sell the farm essentially to get out from under it or whatever. But there's a bunch of these chicken farmers that feel super, super guilty about it now because they're raising these wild, like chicken hybrid homunculi things that it makes them all feel guilty for what they have to do to these things. And that's where the nuggets come from. It's just this meat monster.
Well, you
It's like
remember,
that thing on Full Metal Alchemist.
you remember the novel and movie, what's it
Oh,
called?
that's dark though. Oh, God.
Cloud Atlas. Did you ever read Cloud Atlas or watch the movie?
I watched the movie.
Yeah, wasn't the end of it like they were like basically android humans that were programmed to run the McDonald's, and it turned out the McDonald's was like sending them off thinking they'd won something, and then they were recycling them and putting them in the meat and serving them to everybody.
Like the island.
But they called it like Papa something or whatever. But it was obviously in the book they described the golden arches and stuff, and it was obviously supposed to be McDonald's, but I don't know if they made it McDonald's in the movie or not. I can't remember.
Well, from what I remember in the movie, it was like an upscale. It was like some kind of upscale restaurant on top of like a thing where all the
Like-
waitresses
yeah,
were
in the
like,
future.
were always like, it was the same Asian girl copy
Yeah, yeah.
pasted basically.
Yeah, they were cloned humans
But
basically.
it wasn't like, it didn't seem like upscale food though. It seemed like it was like McDonald's burger because if I could remember this incorrectly, but like there was mustard and ketchup involved in the
Yeah.
thing. But I don't remember. See, it's been such a long time since I watched it. I don't remember it being human meat.
That was like the kick of it at the end of it is like they were basically it was like all throughout time these people were affecting change a little bit and then basically reincarnating as somebody else and then moving the ball along as far as
Were they
the
assuming, what was the implication? Because I'm going to be honest, I didn't fully understand Cloud Atlas. I got kind of what was going on. Was the implication that they reincarnated into a robot then?
I don't think they were a robot. I think they were a clone. I think they were a clone human. Maybe I'm remembering incorrectly, but I think they were human beings
Cloned human.
who were cloned and basically programmed to be a slave race, a la Brave New World.
And she woke up.
Yeah. Yeah, now she may have been a robot. I could be remembering incorrectly, but I
That
think
makes
that's
more
what it
sense
was.
with what you're saying because I was like, well, does that make sense that the robot would become self-aware?
Yeah.
But it makes more sense that it would be a clone, that it became, aware of its past lives or whatever.
I don't know if it became aware of its past lives, but it became aware that it was being basically programmed, and that the people it was working for were evil, and that it was a slave, and like they were. You ever see Chicken Run?
Chicken Run, yeah.
Kind of the same
I've
thing.
seen Chicken Run.
Well, hey,
like those McDonald's chickens you described.
yeah.
There you go.
They thick.
And we're back to we went around full
Wallace and
circle
Gromit teeth.
we went around full circle from William Wallace, Mel Gibson, to Chicken Run, Mel Gibson. So
Is he in Chicken Run?
yeah,
Okay, cool.
pretty sure he is, yeah.
We just said Wallace and Gromit. So.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah, I love Wallace and Gromit.
William Wallace and Gromit, anyone?
Yeah, he was in
Wallace.
Chicken Run. I went to the theater to see Chicken Run in
Hey,
2000,
Rocky. All right.
and then you know what? I went back and watched it again.
Did you?
'Cause I really enjoyed it.
If you want a movie that could get you on a conspiracy hole, look up Year One. First Man is the name of it.
Mhm.
It's a Wallace and Gromit movie-esque. It's about a bunch of cave people that live in a crater. And then one day, some intruders come. That's not it.
That's the one where
Maybe
yeah.
it's Early Man. Look up Early Man. But it's a soccer movie. That's what's so weird about it. It's about how the earliest man created soccer, and it was a divine game and all this stuff. The more you watch it, you're like, all right, I'm not saying there's an Illuminati, and I'm not saying that I believe in all the conspiracies that we talk about, but this is a movie about Masons. it is. Same way as my theory that Gilligan's Island is Masons, Lost is the Masons, Early Man is the movie. It's Masons. Same way as Scientology made that movie, Battlefield Earth. And everyone's like, that's a cool movie. And it's like, that's what's in L. Ron Hubbard's Bibles, right? That's like actually what they believe. And people go, oh, no, I didn't know that. I thought it was just a cool movie. So, but I
It's like
think
that's their Kirk Cameron. What was that movie that Kirk Cameron was in?
God,
About the Revelation.
was it
There was like
Left Behind?
10
Left
books
Behind was
Left
Nicolas
Behind.
Cage.
No, there was one with Nicolas Cage
What
too.
did
But
Kirk Cameron do one
there
too?
was a Kirk Cameron,
Okay.
like early, like 1998, I think.
Oh, I bet it was bad.
Oh yeah, it was awful. But yeah, that was basically the Scientology's Battlefield Earth. It was their Left Behind.
Much cooler origin story.
You gotta watch out for that Xenu. There's also a movie that I recently saw. I think it's on Netflix and it's on Tubi. But it's Donald Trump versus the Illuminati. And it is Donald Trump is a Chinese clone of the original 45th president of the United States. Escaped.
He look Asian.
He did no. He looks just like Trump.
Okay.
But he escapes. He's a Chinese clone. They made Trump into a super warrior. The Chinese did, and he somehow escaped the destruction of Earth and lives on Mars. By himself, and Aleister Crowley and the Illuminati are coming after him or something. But I fell asleep when I was watching it, but it was entertaining for while I was watching it.
It sounds almost as weird as a Velocipaster.
Yeah, it's probably in the vein of Velocipaster. Yep, I fell asleep in that one too.
Car Hunter.
Yep. Oh, I've not seen that one. I saw the Abe Lincoln versus Zombies and the Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
No, those are quality films
Yeah.
compared to
Have you
this.
seen Thanksgiving?
Yes. You just got stuffed.
Have you seen it?
No, I don't think so.
Don't watch it, folks, unless you're really into bad. Cause the villain, and you'll find this out within the first 45 seconds. This isn't a spoiler. The villain is not just a killer turkey, because it's Thanksgiving, getting revenge on all the Quakers for killing them.
Yeah.
It's literally a rubber sock puppet, and then like an axe will come up beside it with its hand controlled, and it goes, "You just got stuffed, bitch."
It has sex with the slutty girl with a gravy flavored condom and says that before he kills her.
Is this
Yeah.
a trauma film?
It's
It's
impossibly
not
bad on purpose.
It's not. I found out it's not a trauma film, but whoever did it was very, very
A big trauma fan. They
yeah,
probably
very, very influenced
love
by Hoffman.
Poltergeist.
Yeah, Poltergeist is awesome.
But okay, imagine if they did Poltergeist, but with no budget. Like, and I mean no budget. Like that guy.
Poltergeist, but with no budget. Yeah. I
Yeah,
can see
like
that.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
When I say this puppet is, they probably found it at the Dollar Tree and went, "I'm going to make a movie with that."
But that's
what it looks like.
That's the allure of it.
Have you seen the chicken on TikTok going with the big O mouth? You could make a horror movie out of it. It would be the exact same quality as Thanksgiving.
That reminds me of name. It is a much better movie, but it reminds me of Chopping Mall. That's a much better movie, though.
What is it?
Chopping Mall? It's like there's a robot security, and the mall goes crazy and starts killing everybody.
We could do a whole episode on that because, like, we got Runaway with Gene Simmons and Mustache Man.
Tom
Well,
Selleck.
we could, if you're wanting to do that, you could do. Speaking of trauma films, you could have Tromeo and Juliet because the narrator was Lemmy.
Well, let's do that next week. let's do that next week. Let's do slasher, terrible slasher films and good slasher films kind of thing. And what are we doing? What's like the not slasher, but what was you just said it? What was your idea? You just said it.
Oh, I
you
just
even
said
sent me a
it?
text about it because I sent you that movie.
I was like, what?
I sent you that movie, and you were like, okay, here's the idea.
Well, my idea, I don't know if this is the same one you're thinking of.
You
is,
sent it to me in a text.
The idea is we've had this idea that we're going to make robot helpers in virtual worlds that we're going to play in. And there's always been this idea, even since the inception of the VR world itself, that it could go wrong. And, like, I'd made a list of them in my head even then. Like, there's one, actually, there is a positive one I would like to talk about at some point. It's a Star Trek Deep Space Nine episode where one of the Klingon guys gets hurt in battle and he feels useless because he can't do anything and goes into, like, catatonic depression until he finds a VR room, which is supposed to be like an old Prohibition-style bar. And he gets which basically, if you look at it now, it's like it's like an app. Is what he's doing in VR time. Because he gets so involved with the staff and stuff, and he doesn't realize the whole time that room was programmed to make him turn into the owner and to make him want to run this bar. Because it was a game the whole time, and he suddenly has this moment that he's been wasting his life inside this second life. Essentially, is what it is. And at the end of it is when somebody comes up and he's still depressed. They're like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "No, but I think I'm gonna be." And I think that's what a lot of people are gonna have when they finally snap out of these fucking parasites one day and they realize this thing's absorbing all of your energy. It's not fruitful. It's a waste of time. End of rant on that one. But the negative one would be a Twilight Zone episode, I'm pretty sure, where some kids have a VR program that their parents had gotten them to keep them occupied. And they spend a bunch of time in, like, hanging out with these African tigers and stuff. The African tigers get jealous of their parents and kill their parents so they can hang out with them. Which wasn't supposed to happen because the VR is not supposed to be able to hurt you. So anyway, there's a bunch more, but that's some.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that kind of stuff. VR stuff, robot stuff, old movies like the original Westworld, things like that. The idea of the robot up on Future World,
You
which
watched
was
the latest Westworld?
I watched the first two seasons of it. I quit watching it after the second season. I kind of got it was like, okay, you're really dragging this out. We should have had one season, maybe two, and had the story and ended it. Why do we have to make everything go on?
Well, it's like they tried to put that underlining thing where the maze isn't meant for you. It's like, just make it a killer theme park. Stop trying to put all these little twists and just make it a killer theme park. It's way cooler that way.
I mean, they could have some stuff in it like that, but like then they got to go into Japan World and all this and like add on. It's like
I didn't watch that, but I thought they hinted at it with.
They just kept going and kept going, and like, man, let's
You know
just
how unfeasibly impossible it would be to make. I mean, I thought making Westworld in the way they made it there, how big it was, is impossible, right? But this is fantasy. They have Japan World too.
Oh yeah, they had like.
How do you have time to keep
they had, like-
rebuilding all these people? Everybody
like
can go.
Samurai World and like all these other different worlds too, and I don't remember if that was originally part of it or not, but.
Fine, but
But it was just like I was uninterested by that. Like the original cast of robots and stuff that were, taking over and going rogue. Like, let's have them have it out with the human employees, and let's either the rogue robots win and take over the world, or the humans win and stop it from happening. One way or the other. Let's end the bitch, and let's not, just keep it dragging on.
I have a comparison, and then I'm gonna shut up and let you get back. Let you get us on course.
Yeah, we'll finish it out
after this. Everything that we talked about, whether it was good intentions or bad intentions, where they keep replacing heroes and wondering why the fandom keep getting pissed. History repeats itself. Transformers did it. Literally, I think it was like season 2 when the animated series was come out. Series came out and season 1 was huge, and everybody was buying the toys. And then the people that made the show and the toys went, you know how we could make a bunch more money? Let's kill all the robots off in this movie and traumatize all the little kids as they watch Optimus Prime turn gray And then just introduce 12 new robots, and they'll buy all those toys, and we'll just do this every season. Just keep killing the robots off, and oh hell no you won't. Nobody bought season 2 toys. We were pissed about it, and you had to bring Optimus Prime back, you sons of bitches. But that's what I'm saying. Y'all don't panic. They'll fix Star Wars. They'll fix it all. I know it's a mar on the thing, but let's not pretend like Dragon Ball Z's not been dog shit since Boo showed up. So anyway, there you go.
I didn't care for. I mean, well, we want to get a Dragon Ball Z.
I wish Goku had tits and a vagina. I'd still root for him. That man has died for us over and over again, and nobody appreciates it. And I'm just saying, Boo was a dog shit villain. They should have stopped it right then. I'm not even giving this new shit a chance. This is, what is it now up to? G or something?
I liked through the Frieza saga, and then I was kind of over
I really
that
don't
too.
care.
I like through Cell.
Well, yeah, Cell
Saga
was good. Yeah, Cell was good.
Boo was shit.
Boo was just a rinse and repeat.
He was just obnoxious. He wouldn't go away.
He's still not gone away.
Right. Yeah.
Well, let's finish it out here. It is actually Independence Day. It's July 2nd.
Oh, is this the real one?
Yes, it
You should
is.
get on a soapbox and really start out. We should move it to the second.
That's not a real big deal, but
Isn't it?
well, maybe it is. But I think it's fun to talk about it because we do July 4th, and that's when the federal government moved the holiday to
Wow.
in like 1868.
What the-
Well, I'm not exactly sure. That was the date of the Declaration of Independence, the document that was sent out. But what actually happened was the Lee Accord, or the Lee Resolution, on June 7th, 1776, there was a delegate from Virginia, and his name was Richard Henry Lee, and he proposed that all the states would basically have their own government. They would be separate from the British Crown. Now, everybody here was British citizens at the time, but after years and years of being basically second-class citizens, they had, there was of course no, the taxation without representation thing. They had no representatives in the parliament. They had no way to vote for any or against any of the laws or anything that was put on them. Taxes, whether it be regulations, whether it be if the crown wanted to come and have British soldiers stay in your house and stay in your hotel, and they would rape your wife and your daughters and steal all your food and basically trash your place, and there was nothing, you had no recourse, or they would capture you and make you join the military and send you over to Africa to fight in some war that you had nothing to do with, or that they would corrupt officers and stuff would take people's shipments, take all their money, take all their taxes, and there was no recourse for them. So there was all these different reasons that why this had happened. But they said, hey, we're all the way across the ocean. We have a totally separate. Everything that goes on here is totally separate from the crown. There's no reason we should be answering to them. So they were going to form independent nation states, and that's what the original 13 colonies were. And actually, 12 out of the 13 ratified it. New York did not ratify it because the representatives from New York did not know how their constituents would want them to vote, so they just didn't vote. But there were 12 of 13, so that it was near unanimous
They won't
anyway.
do that anymore, will they?
Yeah, well,
It's just not that.
they did declare independence, and they finally got back, and they declared it on the 2nd of July. That was when they actually had their vote, and they said it was hereby decreed that that this new nation was born that day, and the actual document that was sent out to the British Crown was signed on the 4th. But they had all these guys were already traitors to the crown by the time the 4th came around, because as of the 2nd, when they made this vote, that was when they basically put their head on.
For fast relief.
Yeah, turn their head over to basically made themselves traitors to the crown. So they're at that point, there was a price on all their heads. These guys were rebels against the largest military force the world had ever seen, but they had the advantage of being all the way across the ocean and having trading partners with the Indians, and with the French. So the French ended up saving our butts there, but it was a whole lot of different nations. We call it the War for American Independence, but there was Hessian mercenaries. There was working for the British. There was the French helping us out. There was the Spanish up in there. There were even Russians all in there. So there was a whole bunch of stuff going on at the beginning of it, and it all started with the vote on the 2nd. And this we got from John Adams. He said, "Happy Independence Day." He didn't say that. He said, "The 2nd day of July, 1776, will be the most memorial epocha Epica in the history of America. I am apt to believe that it will be celebrated by succeeding generations as the great anniversary festival. It ought to be commemorated as the day of deliverance by the solemn acts of devotion to God Almighty. It ought to be solemnized with pomp and parade, with shoes, with games, sports, guns, bells, bonfires, and illuminations from one end of this continent to the other. This time forever, forward more. And John Adams said that on July 17th or July 3rd, 1776, in a note to Abigail. So the second actually was the date of independence, and that's when they ratified into law that it would be 13 sovereign governments. And this is from Chris Ann Hall. She is a lawyer, a jurist scholar of some sort here, and she's got lots of real good content. She also told a story about the real ride of Paul Revere, and how that was actually a lot of different people that did that, including one 16-year-old girl who ran a big, like, 40-mile leg of the journey.
Yeah,
and
just kind of squeezed it into one person.
Yeah.
I feel like they do it with a lot of stuff.
Yep.
I saw a post that said, "Thank God for Paul Revere," because it showed some at a soccer game over in Britain, and it showed something they were eating, and it was like this pea porridge over something like that. It's like, thank God for Paul Revere, so I'm not having to eat this.
Well, anyway, let's catch up the chat before we get out of here today. It was 110 where you are, Spill. I think it was about 95 probably here today. That's what it felt like. Maybe not. Maybe it was just the crazy humidity.
The breeze was
I was standing outside. I was working on a truck, and I was just standing in one place. Wasn't doing any heavy lifting. Wasn't exerting myself in any way other than standing and bending over a little. And I was just pouring sweat. It was just totally drenched my clothes. Not much, no. And I was right on the other side of a privacy fence too, so I might have blocked it. But yeah, I was getting no relief. I was just sweating and sweating. Oh yeah. Thanks, Paul Revere. Let's see. She says no way she's cooking pizza pieces. How perfectly bizarre, honey pie. I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. We talked about a lot of bizarre things, but I'm glad you had it with us. I'm sorry it's cutting out, guys. We got everything looks good on our end. So
Yeah, it kept dropping.
yeah, I don't know.
I thought it was this.
It is Independence Day.
It is, and a lot of people out there shooting fireworks. Everybody go out there and shoot some, and get together and remember why. Even if you're not like a big patriot or anything, it's important to remember that we used to do really cool stuff here, and sometimes we still can, and we should be able to again, but we got to be aware of what we have and what we've lost in order to get it back. So I think we're all on the same page as far as that goes. So thank you for joining us so much tonight, and we will see you on Wednesday. We're going to get into news and current events, and next week we're going to do robot and Android and VR stuff in movies and films, stories. I've got some really good stuff on this. We get into an Isaac Asimov story called The Last Question. Do you remember that one?
No.
What about, there's one called by Ray Bradbury called There Will Come Soft Rains.
No.
I've heard of that, but I've never.
All right. Well, those are both short stories. So I will actually I'll try to post a link for those on the channel so everybody can look at them. The Last Question is like probably 20 pages long, maybe a little bit longer. And then the other one, There Will Come Soft Rain, is like probably 7-8 pages. Oh, the Trump movie, yeah, definitely go watch it. It's called Trump versus Illuminati. It's very bizarre, and it's entertaining, and I can tell you it's probably one of the strangest movies I've ever seen. But I would watch it probably next few days before they take it off Tubi. Thanks everyone. We will see you Wednesday. Tim, Dustin, it was very gracious of you to have joined us. Goodbye everyone.